My name is Albert. I have been working in education for 6 years now. And I started as a tutor, and I was just helping some underserved populations in Texas. That's where I'm from. And the impact of that and just the fulfillment I got out of it kind of just kept me going, kind of lit a fire in me to keep staying in there. So I'm currently in charge of the K-12 partnerships for Apple Root in the beautiful city of Seattle, Washington. And speaking of Apple Roots, we're a tutoring company, whether that, we tutor with your SAT or ACT or your APs or even executive functioning skills, which our founder Jed talks about in his sessions. So whatever it is that helps you stand out on your applications, that is what we help with. And one of the things we like to do is host these free webinars. And today you are attending our Ask Me Anything series, first generation college students. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our superstar panel who've been kind enough to lend us some of their time. We're going to start off with the ever gracious Leslie Michelle, who is attending at Agnes Scott College in Georgia. And Leslie, you are doing civil engineering, is that right?
Yeah.
What is civil engineering? I'm a bio major and I don't know what is civil is. Are you sitting in front of blueprints and is that what's going on?
It's part of it.
Yeah.
It's basically doing foundations and making sure things don't fall down essentially.
Oh, like actual building structure and oh wow, that's awesome.
It's like an architect but with the other things besides the framing.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's awesome. That's a lot cooler than what I do. That's cool. All right, so then next I would like to introduce the venerable Kusma Kumar, who is attending Middlebury College in Vermont. And you're studying computer science, is that right, Kusma? Awesome.
Yes.
Very cool, very cool. My younger brother, one of my younger brothers studies computer science as well. And I have no idea what he's doing on a day. I see him sitting on a screen and just typing away and talking about code and fixing things, but so be it. It seems very, and obviously it's very important. And then I'm going to move on to the esteemed Naveen Shiva, who's attending Duke University in North Carolina. And Naveen, I have you down as economics and computer science. Is that fair?
As of now, it's and yeah, yes. As of now, it is and.
So wait, so you're doing both? Is that right?
I'm definitely interested in both.
Okay.
I've been taking both economics and computer science classes. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out in the future, but
yeah,
I definitely love both the subjects.
That's awesome. I think just enjoying the subject that you're studying is going to make it a lot easier to get through all the processes. Yeah, I feel like the first year of biology, I didn't like any class I took, and then it took till sophomore year before I was like, okay, maybe this is nice. Awesome. So like I said at the beginning, you guys, the audience, you can interact with us via the Q&A section. You can ask questions there. Otherwise, I do have some questions to start us off. And so I'm going to kind of pivot these around to you guys a little bit. So not everyone has to answer everything, and there'll be some of you, you'll get a couple of breaks here and there. So we're going to start off this one with Kusma and Leslie. So Kusma, you'll go first. And the question is pretty basic. What does it mean to you to be a first generation college student? And what does it mean to your family? So Kusma, when you start.
To me, being a first-gen student is having the option to dream and actually make it possible. And though you know that sometimes your parents can't relate to you, there are other people who are definitely interested in helping you out, and people are interested in helping you make your dreams possible. And to my parents, it kind of means the world and what they dream for themselves and for everyone.
Thank you, Kusma. Leslie, what does it mean to be a first generation college student, and what does it mean to your family?
To me, it means a new opportunity
Yeah.
to get out of stereotype that has been in my family for a long time of
Yeah.
staying at home, and finally someone like me, a girl, getting out of the house and getting an actual degree and going out in the world and doing something.
Oh
To
wow,
my
I love
family,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and to my family, it means the world.
Mhm.
I'll be the first ever, like any cousin, granddaughter, niece ever in
Wow.
my family.
Yeah.
My parents didn't even graduate middle school, so even then
Uh-huh.
it was a great achievement. So me going into college is worth every sacrifice.
That's amazing. I think, for me, like I was the first to come to college in America. My parents, they went to college in India, but even then it was like, what a wild thing it was to just step into that space. It's so different from everything before, like there's high school and all these kinds of things, but going into college is like, wow, I'm now an adult and I'm taking steps to actually proceed into my life, and like the amount of opportunity is just it's I think it's like simultaneously wonderful but also sometimes a little bit overwhelming. I think
Yeah.
um and I can imagine that, like, at least for me, is like there's some pressure there associated with being the first, right? Okay, so let me get this next one out here, and this one I'm going to pass. Let's do this one to Naveen and Kusma. Let's go like that. Okay. So next question is, what is a challenge you faced being a first generation college student? Um, and that's like, what was it like applying to college, and what's it like now as you continue to pursue your goals? So give me like kind of two sides of the spectrum there. So Naveen, you start off.
Yeah, I think that's a great question.
Appreciate it.
I think applying to college itself was a challenge as a first generation student.
Yeah.
So because like I'm from a family that did not get a good education, and I'm the first in my family also to complete high school and go to college.
Yeah.
I think that places a huge okay, I think that itself was a bit of a challenge because I had no clue like how to apply to colleges, and everything was a learning process. So
Yeah.
like I had to like learn to take the SATs, learn how the application process works, try applying for all these scholarships because that's how we get through. And I think just a lot of learning, a lot of new things throughout this entire process, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was a challenge, but getting into college is very rewarding as well.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And like now that you're, in it and you've made it, like what would you say is something that you struggle with, as you kind of pursue,
Please repeat the question.
Yeah. Now that you're in college, right? And you've kind of gone through that and gone to this point, what would you say is a struggle that you face being here on this side and working in college? Yeah.
um like you mentioned, everything is it's totally different, how everything in here things in the US are like very different from India. Like I'm from India, so
Yeah.
the academic style, just the food, the people, I think I'm like trying to like take everything in slowly.
Yeah.
It's I think it's a challenge, but it's also very exciting to me. And yeah, I'm enjoying being here and studying and like meeting people.
Yeah, I feel like the change in culture is huge.
Yes.
For context, I'm Indian as well, but I was born here. But like, I like when I've gone home and interacted with people there, it is just a different world. There's even like in how I normally would interact with someone, it's so different. In a great way, but also like, I can't imagine like what it's like to go to school, right, in a new place that way. That I think is awesome. And we have Vel who has joined us. Hi, Vel.
Hello.
Hey, man.
Nice to meet you. Sorry, I'm late. I had class now.
No worries. Absolutely.
It's 5 in the evening here. Had my last class.
Fair, very fair. No, we're glad you could join us. Absolutely. Vel from Stanford University. So Vel, I think Kusma is next here. I'm just asking on what's a challenge you faced being a first generation college student, and then what is it, what was it like applying to college, and then also what is it like now as you're kind of pursuing your degree. So Kusma, go ahead and talk to me about that.
My challenge as a first gen student is definitely the pressure placed on you from your
Ooh,
family.
yeah,
And that sometimes it pushes you to work harder, but days when you're not your best, it brings you down. So that's the bad part about it. Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
applying to college with COVID and not being
God.
able to ask your parents for things definitely made the process for us worse. And like
Mm,
we couldn't ask them to sign our documents because like they were away from us and like we couldn't like tell them how to do it. So that was the hard part about being a first gen and applying to college during COVID. And
wow.
yeah.
I don't even know like how you. That's so like outside of all this to kind of go through the process. Yeah, I mean that is stunning. um, did they? I mean, like clearly they were able to make it happen at the end of the day, right? So when you
Yeah.
were applying, you were not at home. You were elsewhere.
We were at school, so Naveen, Dale, and I are from the same school. So all
I
of us
see.
were kind of going through the same thing. And like
Gotcha.
talking to other first gen students really helps
Hmm, very
because we
fair.
are and with the same experiences.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me come in and now I'm gonna pass a question over to Vel and Leslie. Okay. So I want to know, and we talked a little bit here, but let's talk a little more on it. Let's talk about that pressure and let's talk about that stress. Where does it come from? What are the sources that it comes from? And then like how do you manage that stress? So Vel, I'll have you go first.
Stress being a first gen student. I'm just clarifying the question.
Yeah, and honestly, like it can. I feel like everyone's dealing with stress, everyone's dealing with pressure, but I feel like when you're a first gen student, there's another layer of that comes, just from that experience itself. So yeah, where does the stress come from as a first gen, and just even as a student in general? And then also, how do you manage it? Which I think is the big one. I think a lot of people would, want to interact with. Like, how do you handle that stress? Yeah.
Um, so for me, like I get stressed like from especially if you're like in a good school, like all of us are like
Yeah.
you get stressed like from everywhere. Like there's
Mm,
academic and you're not in the same position because you're a first gen kid. You see that everybody else has access to a lot more
mm.
opportunities because they just have like richer parents or like
That's
they,
fair. Yeah, I think that there's resources
yes.
definitely that they
And
have access to that you wouldn't have to have access to. Yeah.
and as a first gen student you're just like looking for stuff that can like you can make the best of
Yeah.
and like colleges that we got into have good resources like that, so I'm using that to like relieve some stress. Like
Yeah.
I use the recreation facilities a lot because
Nice.
like I feel like physical exercise like helps me get some stress
Yeah.
relief. uh i I'm like trying to make friends. It's like a new experience.
Yeah.
Another thing that can like stress you out is uh introducing yourself as a first gen kid here.
Mm.
It's not easy like for many people. It wasn't easy for me. It's like trying to find the people who like understand how hard it is to be a
Yeah.
first gen student in college, and that's not easy. So that's like that's like why I get most of my stress.
No, I totally understand. I think, it's something that I wouldn't even really share, to be honest, with people because at least at the time, I'm much older now, but then it's like when you are in the position that you are in, oftentimes you're not just the first one to go to college, you're the first one for a lot of things in your life, right? Like growing up, you've been the first, like the guinea pig of the situation and having to, you know, handle that. So I think for me, what was hard was to like, and you guys seem to do it clearly better than I do, but I had trouble just asking for help because I couldn't, I didn't like the feeling like I couldn't handle it because I'm so used to being, I'm the one who can handle it and I can do it, you know, I don't need anyone's help. And that was okay for a while, but once you get to college, it's like, and try to get into and all that, you do need like you need to get support for sure. So no, that's totally fair. Leslie, yeah, tell me about pressure, tell me about stress. You said that you had a two tests today actually, but yeah, so tell me about pressure, tell me about stress. Where does it come from, and then how do you manage it?
I feel like the stress comes from expectations that you put from from others above yourself and what you think you can do. But like Vel said, there are resources, and sometimes you are scared to ask for help, but in the end, it's gonna benefit you because the professors are there to help. They're not just there to teach you something and then expect you to do something. That's what office are there for and everything. Because I found myself asking for more and more help, because in the end, it's for me. At the end of the day, I'm doing this for myself. And I honestly think everybody has heard this. When like you're on a plane and they're explaining like the protocols, are like, if we're in case of emergency and the mask drop down, put your mask on first. And I've had to learn to do that with myself and put myself above others. It's okay to be a little bit selfish. It does really. That's where I've found that I've relieved some of the stress, thinking, well, I gotta do what's best for me. And
no, I know, I totally understand, and I think sometimes when you're in this position, like, and I mean, like, you guys are clearly very competent. Like, you are in solid colleges here and doing your work. Like, you have a position in your family that, like, you know, people are looking up to you, and so some part of the pressure I think that comes from that is like you feel indebted to like supporting people around you because, you know, like, what, these are the people, they're your people, you know. And I think I agree. Like, I don't know that you're being selfish really, but you're so used to really being selfless in interactions that it becomes hard to like, okay, I gotta focus on me, you know. And I think sometimes our families don't really understand that to some extent, you know, and it can be hard. And I think, it's you have to be able to stand up for yourself in that way, right? And I think that's part of the thing that, you know, asking questions and being able to interact with the professors. It's like you know, you are here to make the best of your experience, and I love it. That's a really good metaphor, honestly. Fantastic. Okay, very good. So let's see. Let's do, I think Leslie and Kusma have gotten 2 each now. So now I'm gonna give Naveen and Vel 1 more each, okay, guys? So tell me about your network. You know, tell me about who supports you or what supports you when you have questions or you struggle. Who do you go to? So, we'll start off with Vel, actually, on this one.
Yeah, so I have like many people I like stay connected to. The first and like foremost and like the most important people are like my friends. And now Naveen, Kusma, and Sam. Like, they are like they're really funny people, and I know that when I talk to them, I know that I can like relieve stress. I can like I can like have like a few laughs. I can be myself and just like get into a world of like comfort which I feel around them. I also like I'm in touch with one of Stanford's alumni. He was a donor to our school, and I had like a call with him, and he told me yes. So he advises me. And I like talk to him when I want slash when I
That's
have to.
really cool.
So yes, I get like good advice from him, and yeah, so I talk to him when I'm like stressed or like just when I'm like troubled over like decision making or something.
Yeah, honestly, like I've not even thought about that. Having an alumni there as like a almost like a mentor is that must be so useful. I feel like I guess I never considered that as an option, but that's really smart because it's someone who's kind of gone through this process. They've been in school and they've gone through college, and they can kind of give you like a heads up on some things as you're kind of struggling with them because they may have had to deal with them themselves. I like that. Naveen, same question there. Talk to me about your network. Who supports you? Who do you go to when you have questions and when you struggle? Oh, Naveen, you are muted. There you go.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
No,
like
no
Vail mentioned, yeah, my friends are like an important support for me.
Yeah.
Like I could just like talk to them, and so like it's a very good form because like we've grown up together, like we know each other well, and you're just in a state where like we understand each other. So it's a good feeling. It's a good place to be. Also like here, like at college, like if I'm stressed with academics, like I just go to my professors or like office hours. So I de-stress because I learn from them. And
I like that. You use office hours,
Yes. Also, I like my family is always there for me. So like I just reach out to my family. Yeah, and moms, dads, your siblings, like they're there for you. So you can always speak to them, make you feel much better. And I also like reach out to some faculty from my school because they were very resourceful. I do like I do need advice. I do like have questions, and they're just a good cushion for me. So like they always had to like support me and hold me up. So like that's my network basically.
I like that. It sounds like friends is a big part of it, which I think I totally agree. I think especially because like my parents really they could understand some element of what I was going through, but like a lot, especially because I think there's a culture disconnect that happens often that like friends really could kind of be there in that moment. And I think but at the same time it's family is so important and it's fantastic to have them. I didn't even realize that you three were like I didn't know that until now that you three like had this contact because Kusma was like I can text Naveen as he comes in. And I was like what, how could you do that? That's wild. That's so cool that you guys kind of have that network together. Like again, friends is fantastic, but yeah, having a robust network is such a like important part of kind of surviving the struggle of what this is. I agree. Okay, so now I'm gonna go with let's do Leslie and Kusma. I want to know what a typical Wednesday is like for you guys. So like how much time do you spend in class? What are you doing? What do you do? How much time do you spend with friends in the library and club meetings, all that kind of stuff? Like, how do you spend a Wednesday, a normal Wednesday, not a Wednesday where you have two tests, Leslie? And we'll start off with Leslie. Yeah.
Okay, so no day for me last past one. I'm more of a morning person.
Very fair.
So my day starts at like 6 or 7 depending.
Wow, you're quite the morning person. That's very early. My god.
Yeah. So so then I wake up for that. It takes me around half an hour to get to college. Since I do commute, since I don't live on campus. And in the meantime, usually I have a meeting with someone, whether that's like a professor during office hours, or I'm going to the CWI, which is like the Center for Help for Writing and Learning. So they help me on my essay. It's like a senior or a junior. that help me with that writing. I have that thing, so I do that weekly. So then I'm like, I can.
You're on it.
I'm reviewing. Yeah. So then by like 9:30, I have my first class. And that's econ, and then an hour later I have calc. So then we do that.
Yeah, because I imagine there's a lot of math for what you're trying to do. Civil engineering is going to be math heavy. Yeah,
it definitely is, but I do get enough help for that, because I do have to do some writing, so that helps when I get help from older Scotties that have passed through the same classes I have.
Is Scotty that's the term for?
Yeah, we're a
that's
Scotty.
So good. I love it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So then I'm usually done by 12 or 1 if I'm because I try to get my work done before I get to home, because then it's chaos here. So I try to stay away. I try to separate school and family. That's something I've been doing. But that's usually what I do. And then
that's cool. I love that you like are utilizing this morning time to like this is something I did not do and I regret it so much. Like going to professors in office hours, you know, which Naveen, you also mentioned, and like getting help from upperclassmen. And I'm gonna say, like, I don't know like what the audience's makeup is and who the people are. Like, you guys are clearly very like, you know, much more open to this kind of, but I was very stubborn. And I didn't like, even when I was struggling, sometimes I'd have trouble even admitting that to myself that I'm struggling. And like getting help from, you know, these people, it's like that's really the power of college and the resources that are there. Is you have a network that's existing that can come in and kind of support you. And I think to some part of it is like I kind of didn't know the network was there, but part of it was definitely like, even if I knew, I probably had some work to get over myself a little bit to kind of to kind of seek that out. But I mean, I think that's honestly just a lesson to anyone who's going to college, not just first gen college students. Like, go there and get just like support, even when you're not necessarily immediately needing the support. Just start up in these things where you go, you know, and you have office hours and you have interactions with upperclassmen, because that's like a fantastic way to kind of get some support. So then, Kusma, it is your turn. Tell me what a typical Wednesday is like. Yeah, and like how you kind of spend your time.
For me, every day is different because like I don't like following structure and my day has no structure.
Wow.
But
okay.
I am definitely not an afternoon person. So I made sure all my classes are like before 1. So
that is wild to me. You guys are wild. I don't. Okay. I mean, wait. Just Naveen and Bella, are you guys morning people as well? Is that just the thing?
Yeah. I'm a morning and a night. So like early mornings and
me too.
late night.
Okay, and late night. Okay, fair. Okay, well, keep going, because I'm sorry to interrupt you. So you don't care too much about the structure, but you prefer things to be kind of up in the morning. Fair. Yeah.
So I wake up for Italian every day at 8. So that's the only like thing that happens every day. But after lunch, it's kind of like up to my mood. So I either hang out with some friends or like kind of just walk into town just to do something.
Yeah,
or
hang
like
out.
or I'm getting a job on campus, so I don't know how that might change.
Yeah. So do you like what is, I don't know if you have the job or anything, but like what is the job that you're going to be in?
It's just like a job in the cafeteria. So
yeah, and just to like have something, you know, it's always nice to make money. I think that's something that, you know, just like the finance part of being first gen is like, you know, you have to find ways to be able to have money. That's how it works. You don't get money from places like that. You have to seek it out. So no, that's cool. I like that. Yeah, I think that's something that's very, I've read a part of their time is like they are, you know, also finding ways to be able to kind of support, you know, their, which, you know, not necessarily any normal student is going to have, any student who has the resources already from, you know, wherever else it comes. But yeah, that's cool. Okay, so that's for Wednesday. But you have classes, right? It sounds like you said, was that Italian that you said you wake up for in the morning?
Yeah.
You said you're learning Italian?
Yeah.
I like that. Computer science and some Italian. You know, there's a lot of languages in computer science you have to learn
Yeah.
anyway. Val, what is it that you're studying? Do you have a decided major? I don't have that information yet.
I don't have a decided major yet.
Fair. Yeah.
But I'm thinking chemical engineering.
Wow. Yeah.
So like
No.
right now I'm doing like chemistry, math, and Spanish classes.
Gotcha. And Spanish. There's a language again. Is it a requirement to have languages? Like have a language?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it is for you. It's
is.
not because okay.
Me as well. It's a requirement for me too.
Okay, what language are you taking, Naveen?
I still haven't. I'm going to take it next semester.
Gotcha.
But I'm not sure which one to pick.
Wow, that's, you know, like I know like my native tongue, like I know my language from home, or I guess like, yeah, from living at home. I'm not from where I'm from in India, but you learn it because your parents speak it, you know, whatever the language is. And so it's always so interesting to like, then it's interesting to like learn a new language and then or try to learn a new language, but then realize how different that is than just having know another language when you were young. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to translate from English to another language when I'm trying to speak my other language. I'm just speaking that other language as well. Whereas if I'm trying to learn a language, I have to translate it, and it feels very kind of clunky, to be honest, in comparison to what it's like when I'm just talking. Mine is Malayalam is the language, so that's the native tongue. Okay, so let's see. We've got this. All right. I want here. Okay. I think I'm gonna pass this one around actually with the group. Yeah, let's do one. Yeah, we haven't done one with everyone, have we? Okay, so let's do this. What advice? Oh, yeah, I like this. What advice would you give to a student who's in the midst of the application process and hoping to get admitted to your school? So whether you're trying to be a Scotty, or you're at Duke University, you're going to Stanford, or you're trying to be at Middlebury College, like what advice would you give to a student now that you've gone through that process who's trying to get there? And we will start with Leslie. How do you help a Scotty get into Agnes Scott? Yeah, a future Scotty.
This is what I did personally.
Yeah.
If you can visit the school,
Yeah.
interact with people, go to events. There's a bunch of them. There's so many to choose from, and that's where you can learn more about the school. And
were you able to go like during, or how did you handle? Did they have their events online, or what do they do during the time that you were applying? Oh, I think she's frozen. Is she frozen for you guys? Okay. Oh my God, and I think Naveen has also lost me for a second. Kuspa, Val, you guys are still here, right? Okay, she's there. Yeah, I see Val as well.
I'm still here.
Okay. I'm gonna, oh, and it feels like Naveen's mic may be going off, but that's okay. I'm gonna come back to Leslie here once she's returned to us. So Val, why don't you take over? Well, what's like some advice that you give a student who's trying to come to Stanford? Oh, your mic is muted. No worries.
Yeah. So I'm going to give like another personal story. So like,
please do.
My experience.
Yeah.
So like from my experience, I'll tell them to like in their application,
yeah,
convey the best and the worst of them. so that
Wow.
so that the whoever's reading your application, like
Yeah.
the best and the worst, and also like how, like if you're bad at something or like you're struggling with something, tell them how you overcame that. Not like I don't like studying. That
Right,
not,
right.
not
We
something like
don't
that,
tell them
but like
that. Yeah.
something like I found it hard to do this, and I did this, and now
Yeah.
I'm here. And
Good.
also show them, tell them about yourself and tell them about what you want to do. And tell them and show them that you're persistent if you're a persistent person. And like it's so easy, like for the person who's reading your application to see through your application if you're not being yourself. So then, like, through your application, just be yourself.
Yeah, be genuine is what you're saying. Be genuine. And it sounds like you were also saying to share some kind of adversity that you have kind of gone through, something where you've struggled and had to overcome it. I love that. That's very fair. Yeah, okay. So we got Naveen back here. That's good to see. And I think Leslie's on her way back. But we'll go to Kusma actually. Kusma, why don't you tell us a piece of advice you'd give to someone in the midst of the application process and they're hoping to get admitted to Middlebury College?
I would tell students to know exactly why they want to go to that college, because like everybody can say, oh, I want to be in your college, but you should make your application specific to you and how you can add to the college and not just the way the college can help you. So that's something to keep in mind.
That's totally fair. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that they understand that you're driven to go there specifically and not just casting out a net to places. Honestly, that's like a very fair point, even for, you know, after you college, when you go to like whatever, if you decide to go to like a professional school, you know, whether you're like, you know, people who are pre-med, especially, I think this is a big one where it's like those colleges, they're looking, I'm just speaking from my experience, but like, you know, those colleges, like they know that you're applying to a lot of different places. They want to know why you're applying to them. You know, what it is that about them that kind of sticks out to you and why you want to come in and contribute. All right. Oh, nice. I think she's changed herself over. Are you on your phone now, Leslie? Have you changed? That's great. I like that you switched it over. Yeah. Okay.
I switched two computers and both of them didn't work. So we're on my phone.
So we're on the phone. Okay. I'm going to come back. Naveen, we'll get to you at the end here. I'm going to come back to Leslie. So Leslie, you were talking about going to events, being involved with, you know, whatever things are going on at Agnes Scott College. So like, as far as attending events, were you attending them in person? Were you attending them? Like, how did you go about that?
I went virtually. Like I
You
said,
went virtually.
They started off really early on since they did go online throughout the whole year. But that's the way that I made connections, especially since some colleges ask for interviews, and the more specific you get through them, and like if you say, oh yeah, I went to this, I've learned about that, that's what catches their eye. You're supposed to, that's what gets them talking about you and thinking about you.
No, that is very fair. I think and I think Kusma actually kind of touched on this a little bit too. But yeah, it's like the colleges, they want to know that you're interested in them specifically. So like in Kusma's situation, she said, you know, like in your application, you're kind of specifying and catering it to that college, and how you can kind of impact it. And then yeah, totally, Leslie, if you have the ability to attend events and things and like kind of cite that you've, you know, attended them a little bit, it's like, that's fantastic. That's gold. We take that. Okay, so Naveen, someone is trying to get into Duke University and they reach out and they're like, Naveen, I need your help. What do I do? What's the best way for me to get through this application process? No? Oh, he's in. And the mic. There you go.
I'm so sorry.
You're good. You're good.
To get like a good SAT score, like SAT/ACT score is a starting point. So you got to like put lots of effort into that. That's how colleges work. Like you need to have good scores, good statistics. additionally, like in the application process, like you mentioned, like Kusma, like everyone mentioned, it has to be catered to the college. Like I realized something that when I was applying, I did apply to a couple of schools. And some of them, like I did like certain aspects of the school. But like when you're like attending the college, it's very different, like from the photos, the images, the videos. Because you're like actually like walking the campus, walking into classrooms. I know it might be hard, but like I think you should like try picturing yourself in the college, in the environment. Because each college is different. Like this say you're doing pre-med, like there are like some good pre-med schools, like if you're doing econ, like okay, so like try like going towards schools that you think would be the most resourceful for you, and that would definitely like push you up. And and things, so that's
that's really good advice, actually. I honestly wish I'd talked to you guys before I went to college. I have such an opposite, like I just went to the college that gave me scholarship. That's what I did. And there's like, sometimes that's what you got to do. Like, but I was going to a college that I didn't really like. I was going there and I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be pre-med and all that kind of stuff. But like the college wasn't particularly great for pre-med necessarily, and it was like I definitely didn't feel like great in the campus or anything. Like there's I think that's such a fair point. Like your fit to a college matters a lot. There's that first part of what you said there, Naveen, right? Like you got to get the right, scores. You got to look pretty on your application. You got to look like you're going there. But when it comes to it, like what really is going to matter and in your success as you move forward is that it is a right fit to propel you towards that career, right? Otherwise, what happens is you get kind of swayed. You're not sure, should I do this? Should I do that? You can even tell that the school will prioritize some, things over the others, right? So there's a lot to be said there about kind of discerning what the school is and how best it fits your goals in the future. So speaking of goals in the future, I would love to know what your thoughts are about, and I'm going to give it to all of you guys because honestly, I'm enjoying all of your answers here. What are you planning to do after you graduate? I think you guys are you all graduating in 2025? Is that the correct thing? Everyone's graduating 2025. So you guys are, so it's a ways ahead for sure. But right now, at least, what are you planning to do after graduation? And like, in what ways would you say your school kind of helps you to kind of figure that piece out, and then also, achieve some of the goals that you're setting for yourself? So big, broad, really, I'm kind of asking you, what are you doing in the next 4 years, which is a lot to ask, I would say, but I just want to get an idea of how you're thinking, so let's start off. I feel like Naveen, you have not had to go. You're going first, Naveen, actually. I know you just went last, but you're going first. Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah.
Big
question, I know, I'm sorry.
No. All I can say is I'm not sure what the future is going to hold for me. Because I don't know which class is going to like just be the the light bulb class and might just like give me a new interest. But as of now, this is where I would like to be. So like through my 4 years like at college at Duke, I want to be able to build relationships with professors. They have ample resources here at Duke, which can like propel you. Like you're mentioning, so I want to be able to utilize all that. Take classes, make good friends. Do what I like. So I love playing soccer. So I want to do some of that.
No, this is honestly, this is fair. Like you don't have to keep. I would say this, like when you're in college, sometimes it's not about knowing what you're doing in the next 4 years. It's actually about being right here, right now, and utilizing everything around you as best as you can. Because like how can one, especially now, look at what the world has been like in the past like 2 years. Like how can you know really what's coming in 4 years? That's a tough thing to consider, but definitely like, making sure that in the present you're really utilizing those resources. That's how you're gonna really get to that. I like that you called it a light bulb class. That's really good. that's I would say I do have a class like that when I hit biochemistry, I was like, oh, okay, this is the one. And it took me 2.5 years of college before I hit that class. But then it was like, oh, this is the thing that I get. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, that's so fair. Cool. Okay, so on that note, now we'll go to Val. Val, tell me, what are your thoughts? What are you planning on doing after graduation?
Yeah. I just wanted to add on to like the previous question. So when you're like searching for colleges, like pick a college you're going to make the best out of. Like like different colleges have like different resources. Like how Naveen was saying, like you can like pick a pre-med college or like this college or that college. Just pick a college that you'll make the best out of. And yes, so now I'll answer your question. I don't have my plan figured out yet. I don't have it like written on paper. I'm like open for it to change. But as of now, I want to do chemical engineering. I know it's like hard classes, but then I'm like slowly preparing for them now. So
what brought you to chemical engineering? Do you know someone who is a chemical engineer? Is it something that you were interested?
Yes, so it's like a interest that like grew in me like for a while. So like in like 8th or 9th grade, I just liked the subject chemistry, and then like as I grew up, like I saw like the plastic crisis in India, like how you could just see plastics everywhere, and like like my parents were using plastics as like pani puri vendors, like single-use plastic, and then I like really like animals, so then I saw its like impact on animals, and so like all those things just like converge, and like I was like, okay, let me become a chemical engineer and tackle the plastic crisis.
Wow, so, that's like, very bold, man. My God, that's a huge
but I still don't know if that's what I know that's what I want to do, but then if like things change, I'm like, okay, it changed, and like changes for good, like so for now that's my plan, and that's
I love that.
That's what I have figured out.
No, that's I feel like I would say partly my generation, but especially your generation, is seeing some things in a way that like you have to step up in a way that I mean, like it's it's like, and I think it happens as every generation that goes on, and forward, like there's another level of direness to what you have to be able to accomplish. But I totally agree. Like that's I love that goal though, and I love that it's like influenced from that kind of history. Okay, so Leslie, tell me about, we talked a little bit, but tell me what you're planning to do after graduation. And how has school helped you kind of figure that out and achieve the goals that you're setting for yourself?
So what I want to do is, well, I guess something that with what I'm pursuing is that I'll be able to work on more than one job at once. It's not like a job, because in the future, hopefully I'll be overseeing a whole job as it goes up, because growing up, having my dad work in construction, he did the framing, but that's all I ever saw. I never saw like when people have to clear a land, have to take off the trees and do erosion control before they like can put concrete on it. I was there after that, and like I saw the framing, I saw the thing, but I was never like, once they install the plumbing, the electricity, the actual course before you have to close off the wall with sheetrock. So then that's what I'm hoping to do, be more involved in the construction, since Atlanta is one of the fastest growing cities. But with civil engineering, I'll be doing more like with transportation, especially since it sucks here. And so many people say they would take public transportation if it was more accessible, which is a problem here.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I lived in New York for like about a year and a half, and it's very interesting when you have public transport at your disposal. Like, it's pretty good, even with like the issues that are there. It's just so convenient to just be able to go anywhere you want as you please without having to like rely on necessarily your own driving and all that kind of stuff. It's like I think I agree. Like, more cities should have. I mean, like, we're not gonna get beyond certain limitations of like, what traffic is like and what pollution we contribute and all that kind of stuff until we have better infrastructure for our public transport. That's awesome. Wow. Again, as I talk to you guys, I wish I'd met you like 10 years ago when I was like in college. Okay. And then Kusma, your turn. What are you planning to do after graduation, and how was your school helped you figure that out and achieve goals for yourself?
I'm planning to be a software engineer.
Yeah.
And school kind of helped me because like I did computer science in school, and that is the only subject which made sense to me. I don't know why, but it just did. Yeah. But the thing is, like, in college, like, if you know what you want to do after college, I would say, like, talk to your professors in that field because they know more resources. And if you show the interest, they will be willing to, like, show you what's available to you.
No, I love that. And I think I agree, even in taking it a step further, and just like when you are considering a career or a path, talk to the people who are in that path, who are doing that, and that's like what their daily is. You kind of have to do that with pre-med because they force you to have to go shadow people. But I would say everyone should have that experience of like going out and really having a conversation. And like, those are people who, it's like, I wouldn't say one person's opinion should guide the path of your entire future, but it's good to get the perspectives, of other people to kind of help inform you, because you don't know what's coming and you don't know what it's like. And they may have better perspectives on what the future of these industries are like, maybe even better perspective on guiding you to what, because computer science, there's so many things that come with computer science, all of these little places, like all these different, I would say like learning disciplines have a lot of variety to them, and it can be helpful to have that context when you go into it. We have 5 minutes, and I've been irresponsible with their time, so I'm going to be quick with this last one. And this is just one last question, and we have to be fast with it. It's a piece of advice you would give your younger self, whether this is college or just a general piece of advice. It doesn't have to be about college, just period. Anything, a piece of advice you'd give your younger self. And so I will start us off. Kusma, you haven't gone first for a little bit, so you're gonna go first here. Yeah.
I would say ask for help, and don't be too harsh on yourself.
Oh, I love that. No, oh wow, that's fantastic. These are both very good. I can't go too long but they're so good. Okay, so now we'll go to Val. A piece of advice you give to your younger self. Yeah.
I'll just say not to like give in to self-doubt and like self-worth. Just know that you're like always worth it, and like if people think you're not worth it, don't like forget them, or like don't try to prove it. Just like show them. Don't try to prove it. Just show them if you can. Yeah.
I like that. Naveen, piece of advice to younger self, younger Naveen. Yeah. Let him know that he should use the mic.
Definitely, yeah. Yes. Definitely do things that make you happy.
Ooh, yeah.
They can be like small things or like big things. And keep staying motivated, because yeah, life is like a mountain, goes up and down, like, but they're always moving, so so just keep staying on, keep persisting, and like, because all of you are high schoolers and like all like trying to get to college, like I think college should be a main aim right now. So keep working hard towards it, and just know that it's possible, because everyone has the motivation, and like everyone can make it. So.
Oh, very good, very good. Leslie, last but not least, please let us know what kind of advice would you give your younger self?
I would say that the only competition is yourself. You're not competing against others. You're only doing it for yourself.
Yeah, no, and that is so true. I think sometimes you get so caught up in everyone else around you, and Val, you kind of made a point to that too. It's like you're concerned with everyone else around you, but like, this is your life. This is what you are doing for yourself. That's the focus, for sure. Okay. All right. I only have 3 minutes, and I really enjoyed this a lot. You guys have been fantastic. So I really want to thank you all individually. Thank you so much for the time that you've given, and for honestly the wisdom that you have at such a ridiculously young age to share with us. I also want to thank the audience for attending. Thank you so much for being here with us. I apologize, if we weren't able to answer any questions that came up to you. Feel free to reach out to your admissions offices or even Apple Root if we can help. Once again, everyone is going to get a recording for this session that's going to come later in the week. I do want to shout out that Apple Root is running our PSAT prep rally. So this is for those, kind of ahead of the curve sophomores and juniors who are trying to get ready for the PSAT. We've got math sessions on writing and language, and obviously some mock PSAT sessions that's all going to start on this Saturday. Actually, you go to the website, you'll see it right up front. And other than that, thank you so much, and I want to say good night. Enjoy your evenings, and until the next, everyone.